Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. 14 Member of Parliaments were suspended in just a single day, just because they were demanding a statement from Home Minister Amit Shah on the security breach which happened in Parliament on December 13th. Now, why is the government running away from giving a statement? And why, instead of taking the opposition members into confidence on such a sensitive issue, why is the government suspending the MPs? What does it indicate, and how do we see the winter session now unfolding in the days to come? Joining me now is Trinamool Congress Rajya Sabha MP Jawhar Sircar. So thank you so much for joining on the Federal. And so the first question is that on such a sensitive issue like a security breach, which has happened in Parliament, which many say is unparalleled, it has never happened like this. And in 2001, I remember when a similar attack, a terrorist attack, when it happened, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the prime minister and he gave a statement right the next day, just a day after the attack happened. But why is this government running away from giving a statement? Are they trying to hide something?
It indicates the way the government thinks. Your question is as good as mine. We have been demanding protocol in the sense that the Prime Minister must make a statement from wherever on earth. It's been almost 2 days since the incident happened. And there have been 2 days of Parliament wasted on this. Apart from the security angle, you see, it's the 2001 attack was a more heinous one, more bloody one, but it happened on the outer side of Parliament. And this was in the sanctum sanctorum. The sanctum sanctorum was attacked. There's a difference. And such a breach, these intruders got away with smoke bombs, but anything could have happened. There's no point making wild speculations, but it's dreadful to think what could have happened if there had not been smoke bombs or something else. Our party and the India opposition is very clear that the Home Minister has to make a statement. The Home Minister is first responsible. The Home Minister has to make a statement. And if the Prime Minister can measure somewhere near up to our earlier prime ministers, including his own, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, if he has that level of competence and comprehension and, let us say, worldview, he should have come up on it instead of playing politics with it and accusing us of playing politics with it. I don't know what the Home Minister is up to, but he made some scathing remarks that we are up to politics. I don't know what would have happened if this thing happened, because they are so sectarian. If this had happened in the top level meeting of the BJP's headquarters or something, to make them understand the gravity of the situation. So we are demanding most reasonably that the Home Minister must come out with a statement. Instead, we get houses that are suspended, proceedings suspended, adjourned, and members suspended. This is not on.
Right. But Mr. Sircar, what can the opposition members do other than registering a protest? Like there was a silent protest today also outside the Mahatma Gandhi statue. What can the opposition members do when you have a recalcitrant government who's not ready to hear, who's not ready to listen to the opposition at all? It seems that the doors have been closed for the opposition completely. So what can the India parties do other than just registering the protest? Is there any other method? Is there any other tactics you might just resort to get the point driven down home?
No, it is the duty of the opposition. It's a sacred duty of the opposition to bring forth before the nation the severe shortcomings of the government in power. That is by and large a general statement. And if any opposition member thinks that it is not his duty to oppose, but to go and compromise and take favors from the government, he is certainly not behaving properly. Here, in this instant case, the United India Alliance has made it very clear, and members across the board have been suspended, have made it very clear, and this will go on. We are facing very, very strange situation with an absolutely what shall I say, reckless government, if I may use it. Insensitive is a small word. A government that somehow barely draws legitimacy from elections and therefore tolerates houses of parliament and the assembly. It requires them only for legitimization and for display of the brutality of their majority. They have no need for parliamentary democracy other than this. The word I said about legitimizing their rule, displaying their brutal majority, and getting their way done. Parliamentary majority is not that. If it had been that, we did not have met. We could have sort of let any bill come in and say, okay, you are 230, we are 130, therefore you get it. It's not that. It's a spirit where those who did not vote for the government, and it is always a fact that the majority of voters who voted did not vote for the government. I mean, you can take statistics from 30, 29%, 33%, 38%, 42%. You can go on by anyway. But nowhere does it cross 51%. So the people who had no, let us say, love for the government that came need also to be represented. The opposition, through its various segments, through its various regional outfits, and through its, what shall I say, diversity,
No, but Mr. Sircar, that's why
patches of influence.
So, but that's why I asked you that, when you have an obstinate government who is not ready to hear, what apart from other than just registering a protest, does the desperate times need desperate measures? So are we going to see India parties or the opposition members resorting to some very resolute and very, hard-nosed steps? What are we seeing? Because, say, for example, I'm not saying that, these youths who intruded into the parliament did a right thing by the tactics they resorted to. But then the issues which they have brought on the forefront, like employment, they've talked about the Manipur crisis. That's what the preliminary investigation says. So they try to draw the attention of the government on these issues through these drastic measures. So what my point is that now these look like desperate times. So what are the India parties going to do?
No, first of all, intruding into parliament in this manner, threatening the lives and security of elected representatives is just not on. It's just not on. By whoever does it, it's not on. Our concentration now is on the breach of security, the insecurity of the House, and the insensitivity of the government. That unless we have very clear issues in mind, we'll tend to get confused and stray into different areas and lose the spirit. Right now, the focus is to see that this government is held accountable. They practically got away with Manipur. You remember an entire Rajya Sabha session,
yes,
monsoon session, was destroyed because the most arrogant Prime Minister in the history of India simply refused to come. He came to Parliament House,
but so
and he held a press conference of sorts, but his arrogance combined with his insensitivity meant that he would not step into the Rajya Sabha. You remember?
Right. But when you say that our duty is to make the government accountable, now how will you hold the government accountable on this particular security breach issue? Because the moment you demand a statement from the Home Minister, the MPs, almost like en masse, they've been suspended in such huge numbers. I don't recollect when in the last, in my memory, when did I see so many suspensions in one day? So what are the India parties going to do if the government doesn't listen, and you'll go on demanding, it will fall on the deaf ears, you will not get any response. So how will you hold the accountability?
No, we will have to stick to modes of parliamentary procedure. Okay. And parliamentary procedure hereby entails protest within the House, protest outside the House, but within what we say parliamentary decorum. A shouting of a slogan may appear prima facie to be indecorous, but that is not so. In every parliament, in every elected legislative assembly of the world, slogan shouting takes place because it's part of the opposition to raise these voices. And when you talk of slogans, the dreadful slogans of Modi, Modi, the way they drown the house, is worse, because it's a meaningless slogan. The slogans that are raised by opposition parties carry a title, carry a meaning, and carry a message. Whereas the simple word Modi, Modi is almost Hitler-like, it's almost Nazi to drown the voices. I would submit, I have no authority to speak on behalf of the India Alliance, but I would submit from the ethos that I have noticed, from the manner of functioning that I have noticed, that they would not breach parliamentary procedure. Just because government is being insensitive to parliamentary procedure, because those who head the government are not mentally and maybe educationally equipped to understand the nuances of parliamentary procedure. They would have to do a lot of reading, which I'm sure they have not. They go by short messaging services from acolytes and from factotums. That's the way they function. But they would have to understand India is suffering a crisis and would have to go through the crisis in order to understand whether they want anarchy to take place. Because the only alternative to parliamentary democracy is anarchy, And that is something that no self-respecting party would vote for, excepting certain elements in the ruling party.
Right. But Mr. Sircar, another baffling thing has been the fact that BJP MP Pratap Simha's office issued the visitor's pass, but no questioning has been done of him. No expulsion has happened. And in fact, your party also has raised this issue that Mahua Moitra was expelled immediately, and even when the inquiry was pending. And here you have an MP who issues the passes. The carelessness and the neglect is staring at the face, but even then no questions are asked. But this kind of a behavior of the government, what does it show? I mean, BJP still is going on protecting an MP like Pratap Simha.
That is precisely the point. If I can summarize, there are three issues on which we are agitated. Number one, the need for a discussion, a parliamentary discussion in the finest of parliamentary traditions on the issue of security and the lapses that have taken place, and work out a collective solution. It can't be a unilateral solution. Many of those in the opposition have been holding very high responsibilities, have wide experience of the government. So this could be utilized. That is the first demand, that there should be a decent, decorous parliamentary discussion, not short shrift resolutions moved by the leader of the house or by the parliamentary affairs minister at the drop of a hat, and deem a protest to be against parliamentary procedure and therefore move it. In other words, the first hint of a parliamentary discussion, they get up and say, you shouted, you did this, you gesticulated, and therefore you need to be expelled. The chair has little option when a majority resolution is passed. You see, I would hold the majority responsible rather than holding the chair. The chair has its own method of conducting itself, and it is best left to them. The second demand that we have beyond this is that this initiation of the debate should start with at least the Home Minister coming to the House, making a detailed statement. He can't be cat's whiskers. He can't sort of strut around threatening people and putting them behind bars and putting UAPA. And when he faces a strong, heinous attack on the core of security, he can't run away and pretend that his running away is an act of bravado. He has to come up. And the third demand that we have made is that the Prime Minister take on responsibility that decency, education, upbringing, they indicate. Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee made a statement on the first day itself in 2001. This was followed by a very senior minister's statement on behalf of the Home Minister in the House. It is the same party. It's the same alliance. And it cannot behave like this. It just cannot get away with it all. We have to expose it before the people. You see, we cannot take on to undemocratic methods. We have to expose it, however painful, frustrating, and losing it may sound at times. Because it's just steamroller. Steamroller. But it's a part of our duty to accept this torture and to still go on.
Right. But Mr. Sircar, what do you have to say about the intentions of the government when you see photographs of Tapas Roy, the TMC MP, and where people are saying that, the main conspirator or the mastermind of this security breach plan is seen in the TMC camp, and then people are talking about that lady Neelam, she's part of the Congress. She was seen in the farmers' protest.
This is all too frivolous and too low to be discussed. When you are dealing with criminal conduct, there's an Indian penal code which mercifully has not yet been amended into Manu Samhita or some other Samhita. There is a penal code, there's a criminal procedure code, you have to come up with it. This is the disinformation brigade that the party has let loose. Soon they'll bring in the DMK, soon they'll bring in the Shiv Sena, soon they'll bring in everyone and say somebody is associated with somebody. We don't even know whether the pictures are doctored.
Right.
I'm a public representative, so whenever I go, people like to take selfies.
Sircar, do you have a feeling where the government wants, it seems so that, they're trying to put the blame or put the onus on these intruders as being part of the India alliance, and somewhere down the line they will come to a conclusion that this security breach was planned by the India alliance. Are you having the government is trying to arrive at that conclusion?
Cannot work because you have to come up with established criminality. Right. You cannot go by rumors and by disinformation. The IT cell of the BJP visibly comes out with disinformation and is caught on several occasions. The IT trolls of the BJP in the social media are fed and directed to take on through the vilest of methods, through the roughest of language, anyone who dares to stand up, whether Indian or American. You remember that American press girl who was hauled up. So, the world has seen the ugly face, the talons, the claws and the nails of this rather fascist party. So it can't get away with it. These are all diversionary tactics that they are using so that people get onto a second narrative on this issue. We need to stick to the original narrative. There is the most serious breach of security in the house that has ever happened. Number two, the Prime Minister is a coward for not coming up and making a statement. It is not arrogance, it is cowardice. And let him prove it otherwise. The Home Minister is strutting around like a Muslim, blaming everybody else. This can't go on. And number four, at the end of it, we require a parliamentary discourse on the issue. It's not only heat that matters, it is light that we seek.
But we are hearing all sorts of things about the opposition also, that, now some drastic measures are being planned by the opposition as well. Probably en masse resignations, something like all the MPs leaving Delhi and then just going door to door. And so what kind of plans? I mean, I would not ask you to expose your strategy, but are you planning something?
I'm not sure that these things have at all been discussed. That is not, is it? A strategy in politics, to whatever extent I have understood, is a very evolutionary thing. It depends on the other side and the degree of, let us say, strength or cunning that they display. We are now on absolute parliamentary board.
No, but I was speaking to a few India Alliance people like yesterday, but they were saying it off the record that, now we've reached a stage where we need to do something like what was being done during the civil disobedience movement, because nothing seems to be working. So is that strategy going to be right if the opposition resorts to that?
This has happened in certain states when the opposition has resigned en masse. It has happened in some states. I have not heard about it, and therefore I cannot comment about it. But there is certainly a growing sense of angst in the opposition, the way they are being treated in the House by brute majority, the way this government is getting away with absolutely uncivilized and unethical behavior of not making statements. So there is an exasperation. There is an exasperation around, but we'll all have to contain it to see that, as I said, the heat is converted into light.
Right. That's a good phrase, and that's a good note to end the program also. So thank you so much for joining on the Federal. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.